Ah, Indiana. Beauty, sunshine, and lots of wide open spaces. Most of America doesn't know about how special the Hoosier State really is. While lots of places in Indiana are truly fabulous, there's also cities in the Hoosier State that outright suck. The worst parts of Indiana. You know when you see them. They're the parts of Indiana where you don't want to go, if you can help it. The goal today is to highlight the cities in Indiana that are the worst of them all. How do we do it? We measure the things most bad cities have. You know, where people are broke, crime is sky high. We even measured the public school education levels. Let's get started.
Shall we begin?
Our first stop on our unfavorable journey through Indiana starts in Muncie, located about an hour northeast of Indianapolis. What makes Muncie such a lousy place to live? The job scene's bad. Not only are more than 7% of folks out of work here, but those who commute to a decent job in Indianapolis have to sit in traffic all the way up and down I-69 every day. Yuck. In addition, Muncie residents earn far lower salaries than most other people in Indiana, and homes are only about $69,000 each. What's good about Muncie? Well, they have 9 state basketball titles to their credit, which is super duper. And based on the number of meth labs that have been found in Delaware County lately, it sounds like you could make some extra income on the weekends. Just make sure to make enough for your friends in Kokomo and Lafayette. They're always ready to buy. Just past Gary at the top of the state is the lousy Indiana city of East Chicago. You know when you get there when you see a car up on blocks. This is where they be hood hollerin'. East Chicago has a 10% unemployment rate, most households live near the poverty line, and has the second worst crime in the entire state. In fact, East Chicago is the type of place you don't want to let your guard down, or you're gonna have a bad time. What's some good news about East Chicago? Well, the schools here are some of the highest funded in the state, so that's great. And rumor has it they have one of the only tumbleweed sightings in the entire Midwest. Way out on Route 44 on your way to Ohio is Connorsville. Connorsville has a 12% unemployment rate and households bring in about $26,000 a year annually. Income levels and home prices are both in the bottom 5 in Indiana. Plus, this place is pretty boring too, as you can imagine. However, we have to mention that Connorsville has several red box rental machines in town where you can check out all the latest movies. Continuing our worst tour of Indiana, we come to Lake Station, a small city that's right next door to Gary. Yuck. What's good about Lake Station? Well, for some reason, it's one of the best places to catch Pokemon in northern Indiana, so that's cool. Far, far north of Indianapolis, to actually be able to commute into downtown is the teeny, crummy city of Marion. If you thought Muncie was dull and boring, Marion is a real snooze fest. Other factors that plague Marion? Marion has the second lowest home values in Indiana, and the residents earn some of the lowest salaries around. Plus, the unemployment rate is hovering at about 8%. If there's a positive here, it's that the public schools are ranked well above the state average. At least they have that. And Marion High has 8 Indiana high school basketball titles under their belt. Go Giants! We built this city, and now it sucks. Welcome to South Bend, Indiana, the 5th worst place to live in the entire state. While most of America knows South Bend for a prestigious Notre Dame University, people in Indiana know South Bend for what it is, crummy. South Bend is 6th in Indiana for crime, and 13% of residents are out of work at any given point. South Bend actually has one of the least number of sunny days in the state, too. Is there any good news about South Bend? Well, South Bend residents make more than the people in Elkhart and Goshen, so they can brag about that if they want. If you took I-94 up into Michigan, before you even finished that tenderloin sandwich, you'd be in Michigan City. MC is the 7th most dangerous place in the state of Indiana, and the unemployment rate is just about as high as anywhere else in the state. Plus, the schools are underfunded, and residents complain about their quality. What's the good news here? Well, there's some big improvements in their historic Uptown Art District, as well as down by the beach at Washington Park, and they have a new zoo, so that's cool. Way over at the intersection of I-70 and the Wabash River is the city of Terre Haute, the 3rd worst place to live in Indiana. Yeah, there's a major university here and plenty of shopping, but Terre Haute doesn't even have a Target. Folks in Terre Haute make only about $32,000 a year. Crime is the 9th highest in the state, and Terre Haute residents have a 1 in 20 chance of being the victim of a property crime. Meaning chances are if you don't lock something up in Terre Haute, it'll be gone by morning. Plus, Terre Haute high schools have 0 Indiana state basketball titles. What's good about Terre Haute? Well, they have a lot of festivals all year long, which is nice, and they have a boot city, so that's fabulous. Where's the next worst place to live in Indiana? The people in Anderson aren't going to be happy about it, but it's you. Why? All the statistics are well below average. Income levels, home prices, school funding are all lousy, and crime is the 11th worst in the state. Now, what's good about Anderson? Well, they have a horse track and a casino and a couple of state basketball titles to their credit. And where's the worst city to live in Indiana? That would be Gary, hands down. another northern Indiana city that's cold and gray, dangerous, and with a really bad economy. Gary has the lowest home values, the third highest unemployment rate, and the worst crime in the state. There were almost 900 violent crimes in Gary last year, and 54 of those were murders. If you wear the wrong hat in the wrong place in Gary, you're gonna get iced. So you better play it safe if you want to stay out of trouble. When you're in some of the worst Indiana communities, some parts might be hard to tell apart. But you can tell who's from Gary though. They're the ones with the 40, the pistol, the beat up car, and a pit bull. Other signs you're from Gary? The local Subway's behind glass. They lock up the tide at your Walmart, and there's a DNA testing truck on your block. If you don't live in Gary or any of the other Indiana cities we mentioned, you don't have it too bad. Congratulations.